Hi there. That picture that just was up on this video is the dog I had before I got this one. His name was Rocky, and he was actually there when I started going through my awakening. Actually, I had Rocky at that time, and yeah, I remember when I was going through. I think this video will be about that, actually, my awakening. For people that don't know, I wasn't always into this kind of stuff. I had a mum that, our family are traveling people, and they are psychics, gypsies, and tell you fortune, contacts the dead. But I grew up with that, but I never had really an interest in going down that path or a road like that. I know this is a lot different, but it's similar field. And then at the age of 24 anyway, I had an unexpected spiritual awakening. And now and again I do videos on this because I like to reflect back on it, because it was a very traumatic experience, and it's still going on today. It's just that what happened was the awakening never doesn't go away. It's basically the real self. The real self, and this is why when I had this awakening, I went through a rebirthing process, and I was being contacted to by what they call the oversoul, which is the higher, the divine consciousness, and I was being guided, being talked to, not like I was hearing a voice. I was making up the words, but it was like psychic. I just knew what this power was saying. It's me I'm interacting with, but it's the divine self. And I was being communicated to and told that I was going through a rebirthing process, that what I was feeling was the energy of a child that hasn't been born yet. And that's what was going on. And it's still going on now. And the reason I had to go through this rebirthing process, I think, this is just a theory, but maybe because I'm awakening to the real self. I've seen people say that when you have a spiritual awakening, that you go through a rebirthing process. I've seen other people talk about it, and other people call it Christ consciousness, and I had no idea. I didn't know anything about spiritual awakenings, or I knew about psychic stuff, but even my mum hadn't heard of it. And for years, it took me years to work out what had happened. And ever since then, it's been relentless healing. I used to suffer from depression, and I haven't had any depression now for nearly 5 years. So, and I had depression, till the age of 28. But the awakening at the age of 24 showed me how to get over the depression. And I like to just reflect sometimes and do videos like that instead of the madness, because even though there's mad things going on in the world, I've been going through a massive experience, and I think it's important to take myself away and just think of that. Think of what this awakening really means, right? Why is it that people in all different countries that I found on the internet have had these experiences? Because the planet is awakening, and therefore that's why they're trying to isolate everybody. It's nothing to do with COVID. I said this before this COVID-19 scamdemic thing existed. I said that they will want to separate people, and I kept on saying that I know it's coming, and I didn't know it was going to be in this format, but they needed an excuse to do it. And when I say they, I mean the system. And the system is a man behind the curtain, like in the Wizard of Oz movie. And, and we see the system as separate governments. But this scamdemic, the way it was all like every government was doing the same thing, that's an example of the fact that they got all this one government. And that's what this is leading to. It's leading to, they're trying to get a world army, world government, and they want to separate people from each other, because they don't want you speaking to people, communicating with other people who might be going through spiritual awakenings. Because then they can give you information about how to awaken yourself, and the demonic forces that are controlling the planet don't want that. This is when this awakening started. I started picking up all these demonic forces, and I went crazy with it. I'd never felt it before. And then I was, because when you spiritually awaken, you're now tapping into your oversoul, your divine self, and you're aligning with that. And I became aware of this demonic force. And this demonic force ultimately is you. Everything is one. Everything is one infinite consciousness. Everything starts as nothing. Therefore, if you have a something from nothing, that means that nothing is infinite. Nothingness is all of infinity, and everything has to start from that. That means you're the infinity. You manifest from that. That means you're God. So you are the demonic forces, and that's what's happened on the planet. We're all realizing that we're all one, right, instead of divided. All this black and white nonsense, we're all one. The body is just the vehicle to experience a life. It doesn't really matter, right? Different bodies or even animals can do different things, but we're all one, you see. And that's why I had this unexpected spiritual awakening out of nowhere. And I've seen on the internet many people have had similar experiences. And it's like there's a heaven self, and there's a human self, and that's what's happening in the spiritual awakening. You're now aligning with the heaven self. Because many Christians believe that heaven is a place you go to, and there's a version of you that has to be developed. You have to be ascended towards that heaven self before you get into heaven. Because what heaven is a state of awareness, right? You can't get to, you're not going to feel comfortable in a heavenly place if you're not in that state of awareness. So in actual fact, heaven is just a state of awareness. If you're in prison and you feel heaven within you, then that's heaven to you. You don't need to go anywhere, even though Christians think that it's a place. I would say it's a state of awareness, right? And this is what's happened on the planet. People are waking up to this, and this is stuff that happened to me in this awakening. I sat down one day and had enough, and when I had enough, this power started coming through me. Having enough of the way I was living, the way I was feeling, and it was like an authentic moment, and I awakened something. But awakenings happen in all different forms. You get some people that have unexpected, massive spiritual awakenings. You have other people that read information but awaken through that. You can awaken through that. You don't have to have an unexpected awakening, a traumatic awakening that you have to heal from. I personally believe that people like me have spiritual awakenings to be like spiritual teachers, so that other people can awaken through people like me without going through the harsh, traumatic thing of an unexpected awakening. Because it is very traumatic, and that's why I like doing videos where I'm reflecting on it. And when I'm doing that, I'm really healing, you see, by doing these kind of videos. Because like I say, for many years, under 10 years, I've been going through this, and was a traumatic experience. Even my mother, my own mother, doesn't think that I am Sean. She thinks that I am a very spiritual being that is in the body of Sean. That's not the true, you know, everything's the same one thing. I just had a spiritual awakening. But Sean is, you could say, transcended to a higher version of himself, you could say. And that's what's happened to me. And like I say, and the videos on, when I do videos on 5G, or you're not even allowed to say that, but you know, all this different stuff, serious stuff, this is because this is what's going on. I would love to do videos like this probably most of the time, you know, healing videos, meditation videos, talking about spiritual awakening stuff and how to ascend, healing, because that's what we need to focus on. But the most important thing in the planet right now is what's going on, and we need to address it, right? They can't get their way, remember. They're trying to get their way, and you can see how this is forming. It was even exposed that police officers have been involved in these riots undercover, you know, in America. And so it's what they're wanting to do is an excuse to bring an army in, and you've got martial law, and make everything one world army and one world government, and lock everyone into one credit system like China, where you're not allowed to say anything against the narrative. That's what they want to do, the system. The Illuminati, which is really a demonic force, a demonic energy, which we have created through distorted emotions. And how we heal this is what we're going through right now. We're going through a global spiritual awakening. And all one has to do is to change the space that they occupy, is to basically heal themselves from within. Then you change that space, and that space interacts with the next space. Everyone does that. The world is spiritually awake then. And that's how easy it is to awaken the planet. So you don't need to vote, you don't need to protest, you don't need to be violent, you just need to be present and to listen to what's within, heal yourself, and then you heal your world. And it's so simple. Just do what you feel like doing, be happy, and that's it. See, the demonic force is our energy, because everything's one energy field, and it manifests itself in like this monster that we're seeing. And it's a reaction because everything is dark and light. It's duality. It's the nature of duality. But it's the same thing playing a game against itself, right? And what we're realizing in this global awakening is oneness is smothering everything. And that's why you're seeing riots. The riots are just basically everything responds to energy. The energy is reacting. Also, 5G can actually change moods. You know, David Icke, I like his stuff, and he's a great researcher. I mean, he researches stuff and he repeats what is facts. And he said that it can change moods. And a lot of people believe in David Icke now. And he had a spiritual awakening himself. And he's very credible now. You know, and I think I'm probably just going to end it there. And if you're watching, you're meant to watch this right this very moment. Everything is perfect in this moment. Everything you've done before has led to you being in this perfect moment right now. And if you want to check latest updates, news, all the stuff I talk about, please visit my website, which is www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you.